Good day, grade 8. Sorry for my impromptu board. I'm trying to, move with the times. This is the way I have to teach. So for parallel lines, I have to have some sort of board. It'll just help you so much more, and you'll be able to grasp concepts much more. Right, so we're going to deal with our second part of geometry. I know you're going to think, now why second part, sir? Because the first part is just straight line geometry. The second part is also straight line but parallel lines. So you have straight line geometry, you have parallel lines, and you have triangles. That's the way I break it up. So I'm going to move on to parallel lines. And so parallel lines, so the definition of a parallel line is basically a line that is equidistant apart all the way through between these. So this is line segment AB, and this is line segment CD. The measurement from here to here, say it is 4 centimeters. From here to here, how much will it be? 4 centimeters, and from here to here, it'll be 4 centimeters. That's just basically the definition of a parallel line. But when we have parallel lines, and we have a transversal that cuts the parallel line, okay, so that line cuts, there's something special that happens. You form corresponding co-interior and alternate angles, and those are things I need to teach you. So today's lesson is basically me introducing you to these three concepts within parallel lines. That's corresponding angles, co-interior angles, and alternate angles. So I'm going to spend some time, probably like 20 minutes, just explaining these concepts to you. So there's no work today. It's me just introducing you, and then you writing down notes on parallel lines. And then on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we will do each of the three. So you should see, okay, also a very important symbol that I've used. Can you see these symbols over here? Those symbols represent parallel lines. So if AB is parallel to CD, then I have to put these parallel lines in. Okay, I've put 2, it might confuse you. If I say 2, it means that that's parallel to that. Okay, the reason why I'm using 2, because if I had to do now, for example, this where I'm going to go now, I can just put 1. It also means that those two are parallel. Maybe I'll just explain it more to you. Say now I have a figure here. Let's see if I can rub that out. Okay, I can't rub that out. Say now I have a figure here, a square. That can be parallel to that, and that can be parallel to that. So do you see I've put one arrow, meaning those two lines are parallel to each other, and that, which means the 2, 2, 2, 2, which means those are parallel. Just showing the difference in the symbols, because I know you kids will freak out about the symbols. Okay, so let's begin with our first concept inside parallel lines, which is corresponding angles. Corresponding angles. Okay, so corresponding angles. So can you see I've put up here? Fun. It's the way I teach parallel lines. So the first piece is fun. So if I have 2 lines that are parallel, and I have a transversal that runs down here, underneath the arms of the F, the angles will be equal, always equal. So if this was 40 degrees, how much will that angle be? That angle will also be 40 degrees. So corresponding angles, what we need to say for corresponding angles are equal. Okay, so now you'll freak out a little bit now. You'll say, okay, sir, now what do you mean? So all I want you to know for the starters, whenever I can see in any diagram, whenever I see parallel lines and the transversal. So let's go back up here. Let's look at this transversal cutting these 2 parallel lines. So if this transversal cuts here, it means that this angle over here and this angle inside here are equal to each other. Can you see the F? So this is parallel, so underneath its arms. So, look here. I do this in class, you all laugh at me in class. So, the zombie, you see its armpits? You see the armpits of the zombie? If this is parallel to this, that means underneath its armpits are equal to each other. Okay, so corresponding angles are always equal to each other, and you see the F. The F doesn't always sit like that. The F can sit down like this here. That parallel to that. Can you see the F is sitting on its back? The F can look like this. It can go down, facing down. Can you see the F? So the F hides himself. It doesn't always have to be it can be a backwards F. And when I say an F, it doesn't necessarily, because you know your Fs, it has a longer head and a smaller tail, or the second arm is smaller. It doesn't have to be always up. It can be directly. What we do with this fun is we're trying to help you guys identify where corresponding angles are. So a corresponding angle always looks like an F. It doesn't have to be a short arm and a long arm. There can be two long arms. It can even be like that, right? But it has to look like an F. Okay. So don't stress, because I know what you're all doing. You just every single year you're like, oh gosh, where am I going? When we do the exercises, you'll see the exercises start off. The F's right in front of you, and I will do the first exercise with you on Monday, and I'll show you. I'll highlight the F for you. This is just notes. We understanding all my parallel lines. Okay, so the F is corresponding, and if they're corresponding, they are equal. Very important, huh? Has to be equal. Corresponding angles are equal, because my next one is co-interior. Co-interior is the U. Now the angles aren't equal, so you have to have obviously your parallel lines. I'll put 2 now, just so that you kids can, because you haven't put 1 there, those 2 are parallel. Now here, 2, these 2 are parallel. Okay, if they are parallel, they are not equal. So first thing you want to write is, in your books, co-interior angles. And co-interior angles, they add up to 180 degrees. So corresponding were equal. Co-interior, this inside angle and this inside angle must add up to 180 degrees. So if this was 70 degrees, how much must this one be? 110, because it must add up to 180 degrees. Alright, so co-interior angles are 2 angles that are between, it makes a U or a C or an N. So now let me just show you the alternatives that come out of this U. So it can be a U, it can look like that, it can look like that, or it can look like that, as long as these are parallel. Then these inside angles will add up to 180 degrees. Co-interior angles add up to 180 degrees. This is law. You have to learn this off by heart. Corresponding angles are equal. Co-interior angles add up to 180 degrees. You have to learn it, just like what's adjacent supplementary, what's adjacent complementary, what's angles around a point, what is vertically opposite. The beginning of the week, did you know any of those? No. Some of you haven't been working with me. Do you know them? No. Some of you have been working with me. Do you know complementary, supplementary? Do you know that? Do you know angles around a point? Do you know that? Now these, exactly the same. So you feel a little bit nervous. Don't be nervous. You have to learn this off by heart. Once you know it off by heart, Monday we're going to start with an exercise just on corresponding. So I'm going to repeat myself on corresponding. But do you know that they are equal? So by Monday you have to know that they are equal. Co-interior, add up to 180. And then this is the last one. Alternate angles. Okay, so alternate angles. What do we have to have each time? We have to have parallel lines. Isn't the heading here? Parallel lines. Okay, so we have to have parallel lines. Once we have parallel lines, then we know that this angle and this angle over here are also equal. So alternate angles are similar to corresponding, but alternate angles is when you have like a Z or an N. Okay, so alternate angles are equal. Alternate angles are equal. So if this is 60 degrees, how much will this one be? 60 degrees. Now I'm going to play on words here. The alternatives to alternate angles. What I'm trying to say is, did you see the F, how the F looked? It was a backwards F, a F on its back, a F lying down, a normal F. The U, it was like a U like this. It was an upside down, like a small N, a backward C, or forward C, sorry, and a backward C. You see that? with the N is the same thing. So you have the N, you can have, I hate doing these ones, you can have a Z, you can have the backward Z, meaning we go this way, and then we can have the N but the opposite way in. Do you see that? And then it's again, that angle equal. Oh, and we have to have always parallel lines, eh? Don't forget that. If you don't have parallel lines, you can't say that these things are equal. So inside the N. And this is the ugly one. Okay, I always do this in class. What if I take my finger there and there and I stretch it? So it can look like this. They try and trick you in the exams. Exam question. They trick you because you don't think that that's, sorry, I'm squashed up here in my house. That you don't think that you can see. Isn't this a parallel line? Isn't that a Z that's been pulled or stretched? That poor Z's been stretched. He's finished. That means that angle and that angle are equal. So if this was 80 degrees, how much will that one be? Oh no, it'll be bigger than 80 because look, it's an obtuse angle. Eh? So well, that thing will look like probably 100 degrees. Huh? 100 degrees, if that's 100 degrees, how much will that be? It'll be 100 degrees as well. Okay, so. Sorry?
10%.
Okay, so. Fun. Corresponding is a F, angles are equal. Cointerior, add up to 180 degrees, and it's a U. And alternate are equal. You have to take these things down. Okay, so you're going to write this all down in your books and make notes. That's all we're doing for Friday. Hope you enjoy it. Put a thumbs up, share, and I miss you kids. God bless. Goodbye.